Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover of a Swift Searcher 614. So as we start the walk round on the driver's side of your vehicle first, the first point you get to is your freshwater filler point. So using the habitation key, which is this small round-headed key, you've got a lockable freshwater cap. So if you remove the cap first, you'll then be able to go and put your hose pipe in there. So the flat end of the hose you want to put in there, so go and get yourself a hose pipe with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap on site. Flat end in there, fill it with water. Either wait until you can see on the control panel inside how much water you've got on board, or you can just wait until it overflows out the outside of the vehicle. Then the vehicle is full of fresh water. Should you not be able to get near a hose pipe, you can bring a barrel of water to the van. So a bucket, an aqua roll, and you'll need to buy yourself a whale submersible pump. 2 pins there, there's one with the vehicle. Pop it in there, pop the other end in here, and then this is the power point to the pump, and it'll suck the water out of the container into the freshwater tank. Just here you have your freshwater drain off point, so you just open the valve here. There were electrical drain off points at one point, but the last customers changed them for some reason. So there's 2 switches above the door which are for your fresh and your waste, which are now redundant. You've just got the valve, so you would drain off your fresh water in the winter when you drain it down and you're putting the motorhome to bed and you're not using it for a while. You don't want to leave any water in the vehicle, or if you have taken on any source of contaminated water, obviously you don't want that to stay in there and drink it, so you'd let it out. Here's your Truma vent. So this just allows the fumes out when operating on gas, but it also gives you the location of where your boiler is on board the vehicle. This is an external shower point. So there's a connector in the van that clicks on there. On the other end of the hose is a shower head, and you can hose the dogs off, the bikes, the boots, and it is just a cold water feed. This is where you'd hook the motorhome up if you are charging it at home or if you are on a site. So what you want to do is get your hookup lead, lift the collar and expose the ends of the hookup lead, and then lift the flap on the van, hook it onto the vehicle first, then to the site or to the house if you're home charging, and do it in reverse order when unhooking, so that you're never walking around with a live lead. Under here you've got exactly the same, but this is your waste, so this is grey instead of being blue. So this is shower water, dishes water, hand basin water. It's very important that on the way out of your site you allow your waste water out the vehicle, because you wouldn't want to carry the extra weight of that tank full of water, because it'll impact your payload and your consumption of fuel. So again, just use the handle and allow the wastewater out of the motorhome. Again, in the winter, make sure that this is fully drained off so that no water can freeze in that tank. Got your garage at the back of the motorhome. So you've got 2 lights on the back. You've got a hanging rail, so it acts as a wardrobe as well, with 2 fold down shelves. So just turn them turnbuckles, you'll be able to turn them down. Your on and winding handles here, so that's where that lives. You've got your ladder for your bed and some bits and pieces that the last customers left. So there's a hookup lead, there's your shower hose, you've got some adapters there, and some storage space for your items that you want to carry in the back of the vehicle. These are just on a strong magnetic catch. On the back of the vehicle you do have your high level reverse light, your bullet style reverse camera above the Swift badge, and then 2 bike rack rails where the back panel has been strengthened to take the added weight of a bike rack. Parking sensors along the bottom. Shorter, fatter door this end. So you've got adapters there. And it is heated, the garage. Here you do have an external 230-volt socket. So if you were hooked up, you'll be able to plug your outdoor item into here that you want in your awning. That's mains 230-volt, and you'll get power. You've also got your external gas point. So this is a gas fed point from your main bottles on board. This is where you click and connect your quick release connector into here. So click it into place, get some Jubilee clips and some gas hose in, and you can attach the pipe to your Kadak or external barbecue, so you can use the bottle on board instead of carrying a spare. And then below, again using the habitation key, this is lockable like all your locks. Push both in, release the door, and you do have your cassette toilet. So lift the orange handle, slide the cassette out of the motorhome. You can either carry it, or you've got some wheels so you can drag it to the disposal point. Remove the grey cover once you get to the disposal point, and press the orange button when emptying. So press it when emptying, empties the cassette. There's then a tap there, so you pop some water in here, give it a rinse, tip out again, and then you want to fill it with chemical. So a capful, which is 120 millilitres of either green or blue chemical, directly into the cassette with a little bit of water, and it's good to go back into the motorhome and be used. The cassette will indicate on the toilet when it's full, so you'll know when the cassette's full and it's time to empty it. And then the next locker we have is your LPG, liquid petroleum gas. This is your gas locker. And you'll notice you've got a filler in the front, which isn't standard from the Swift factory. This has had a refillable gas bottle system fitted to it. So you don't need to buy a 6 kilogram colour bottle, and you don't need to take the bottle out when it's empty to replenish it with a full one. You'd simply fill here. It's a bayonet fitting. Go to your local filling station which sells LPG. You get your filler gun from the LPG pump, pop it in there, turn it so it locks onto the bayonet lugs, and then pull the trigger back on the gun. And then all you need to do is press the button on the pump until simply it won't take any more gas, and then you'll know it's full. But if you are going abroad with a motorhome, it's a lot better to have one of these fitted than go with standard bottles, because it's cheaper and you'll never find the same fitting bottle abroad. So there you've got your bottle. You can see it's a big 13 kilogram bottle. You turn it on and off via this yellow toggle on the top of the bottle, and you can see there that it is in the green where this little black line is, which means it's full. So all you need to do is remember to turn your bottle off before you start driving. And you've got a crash sensor here, so if you're ever struggling to get gas, press the green button in for 3 seconds just to allow the gas through. And you've got a changeover valve, so if you were to fit another bottle, you can change between the two bottles, but at present you just need to make sure that the arrow is pointing to this bottle here, as that's your only source of gas. Awning lights, 2 fridge vents, and then you've got your fuel Omnistar awning, which we can show you on collection. You've got your diesel filler at the passenger door, which opens with the main Fate key. So you've got to use the carb key to open your lockable filler cap. Tyre pressures are on here, so 5.5 bar, which is 79.5 psi. Your engine battery is underneath this compartment in the floor, so if you ever need to change it or you want to put a charger on it in the winter, just release this panel out the floor and you can get to the top of the engine battery. Toolkits underneath the passenger seat, so it includes a jack and a brace and a torn eye, all in there. And your bonnet release is on the side of the dashboard. So having a quick look underneath the bonnet, you do have your screen wash, which is the main one you're going to need when using the vehicle, especially in the summer. You're going to go through loads of screen wash. Got 3 tabs here, and you can fill the power steering fluid and the coolant. Then you can fill your brake fluid, oil filler and dipstick. This is your paint code on this sticker here, so if you ever need a touch up, you can use that. Earth for giving or receiving a jump start, as the carb batteries underneath the carb floor. And then between the air filter and the headlight, you've got this rectangular cover. Put your key in, lift it up, and that exposes the positive terminal for giving or receiving a jump start. To operate the main control panel once on board the vehicle, so this is your 12 volt control panel. So first of all, it tells you that you're hooked up here and that you are receiving 230 volts and you're using battery L, which is the leisure battery which you want to use. So it's a Sargent EC 620 unit. On offs here, so you can turn power off, 12 volt off, or when turning on you can either turn 12 volt on if you're not hooked up, or 230 volt if you are. Pump in the bottom corner, so if you're using taps, toilet or shower, to pressurise the water you've got to have the pump on, making sure that you've got enough fresh water on board first, which you can see, fresh water and wastewater up the sides. So you've got just under a full tank of fresh water. Interior lights, dimmer lights, and then your awning light which is outside. Scrolling through here you can view your leisure battery reading, vehicle battery reading, charge to the solar panel, as the solar panel is wired direct, as there is a solar panel charger in this cupboard here. Battery select, you always want that to be leisure battery, don't change that, but you'd press here if you did need to. Tank heaters, you can turn them on and off, so should it potentially going to freeze overnight, you can turn the tank heaters on when you're using the vehicle, and that'll put current through the water to stop the water from freezing the tanks below the chassis. To work the Truma CP digital control panel, to turn on and off you just do a long hold and then enter the menu, press enter. You'll notice you've got a motorhome with a thermometer in the top left hand corner. This is how hot you want the inside of the motorhome to be. 30 degrees is max, or you can have it all the way down to off, depending on how hot it is outside. So for this we'll just say 30 degrees and press enter. Next you have a thermometer in water, so this is how hot you want your water. So if you didn't have any water on board you'd have it off. Eco is 40 degrees if heating your water. Hot is 60 degrees if heating your water, and boost will turn off the heating to prioritise the water first. So for this we'll just say hot, which is 60 degrees if heating your water, which is 10 litres in your boiler. Next one is a picture of an energy gas bottle and some energy source symbols. So this is what source you're going to be using it off. So you've got gas if you were wild camping, you'd have no other source to heat anything off rather than gas. Mixture 1 is gas and 750 watts of electric. Mixture 2 is 1500 watts of electric and gas. You'd use this more in the winter if you were in desperate need to heat the vehicle or heat the water. Both sources together reduces the time it takes to heat each source. And then you've got electric on 1 kilowatt, which is 750 watts, depending on what amperage the site gives you. So smaller CL sites, airs abroad, you use electric on 1. But on more sites throughout the UK, you can use electric on 2, which is 1500 watts of heating your water or your vehicle. Then finally, you've got the fan speed. So Eco High, Eco takes a smaller 12 volt feed. High uses more of the fan speed, so it's a little bit louder. So Eco if you're sleeping, high if you want to get the vehicle up to temperature quicker, because obviously it'll blast it around the various parts of the vehicle. And then you've got a timer in the bottom corner, so you can time the heating to come on and off. Change the time on the display panel when the clocks go back and forth. And then you've got a spanner in the bottom right hand corner, so you can reset, preset if you want to get a warning triangle in the middle, which means that something's failed. And then you can go in and reset everything again, from temperature to water to energy source to fan speed, all again. But there's loads of videos on these. It's just a Truma CP control panel. So in the washroom, you've got the hand basin with storage below. This cover lifts off and you've got some storage above the toilet with your bathroom light here. Some more storage and a towel hanging rail. This being your main wardrobe, hanging rails and some shelves there. And then to across from the toilet, before we get onto the toilet, you do have your shower. So remember, when you winterise in the motorhome, when you drained it all of water, so you've opened the fresh and the waste, you've drained off the boiler, which I'm going to show you later on in the video. You remove your shower head from the hose just so no water freezes in this pipe. Lie the pipe down in the shower tray with all your mixer taps throughout the motorhome open. You've got your shower screen there, so that's on a turnbuckle at the top just to keep it held back when travelling. So when you want to use it, just take it off the turnbuckle. And then finally, to use your toilet, press the blue button, which is a freshwater supply for the flush. So press and hold it. You'll be able to flush the toilet. Always put a little bit of water in the toilet first because it helps keep the seal between the top of the cassette and the bottom of the toilet lubricated at all times. So pop some water in before you use it. Then if you go to the bottom of the toilet, you'll notice a grey lever. Slide this grey lever to the right. It opens the trap door between the toilet and the cassette. Everything then goes into the cassette, so now you can use the toilet in this position. Give a good flush after use. If you've got any pink liquid, if you bought the blue and the pink together, dilute the pink in a spray bottle, spray the bowl, flush, and then close the blade back towards you, which means when you get lights underneath the diagram of the cassette, you can pull the cassette straight out the side of the motorhome and empty it when it is full. In the kitchen area, you've got a 3 burner hob. So make sure your gas bottle's on, and then you'll be able to ignite. Your 3 burners. Make sure that once you've turned them off, they have gone completely cool. So cool enough to leave your hand upon before you do put the glass lid down, otherwise there is a risk you could shatter the glass lid with the heat. And then underneath, got a oven, and above it you've got the grill. So above your oven you do have your microwave, which is a mains microwave which works on 800 watts. So make sure that you're hooked up for this to work. Got your solar panel, which is 150 watts, and that's flashing away there, so that's charging your leisure battery as we speak. Plate rack and cup rack and some more storage. If you do want to remove them, they're just on 2 screws, so you can put your own storage system in of plates and bits and pieces that you want to put in those cupboards. Your main table lives in there, so that's where your table lives. Got a storage drawer and a storage compartment underneath the oven, followed by you've got a drainer, a sink cover there, slide out drawer, your cutlery drawer being this one here, and then if you lift this compartment off, this is where your boiler is. So your boiler obviously has 2 jobs. One, it heats the water but it also heats the air, which is where your air blown heating from your truma comes from. So obviously this holds 10 litres of water at any one time. So in the season, when we've got nice weather, you don't have to drain it down. It's more towards the end of October you'll want to start to drain the motorhome off, because that's when we start experiencing frost, and you don't want the boiler to get frost damage, because that's when the water freezes. So what you need to do is, down the side here you'll notice that little yellow toggle, and at the moment it's lying down, which means the boiler can hold the water. When you're finished using it and you're parking it up for the winter, drain it off. So what you need to do is you just need to lift this up. You lift it up on end. It'll drain off all the water underneath the van. Leave it stood up like so when you're not using the van. So stand it up on end. Come in with no power on, no pump, because the pump tries to replenish the water. Drain all the water. So drain this off. Open your taps throughout the motorhome. Remove your shower head from the hose, lie that in the shower tray just so no water freezes in that pipe. Open the freshen the waste outside and make sure that the motorhome is completely drained of water. And then when you do it, no water could potentially freeze in the van because there's no water in it. And then when you come to reuse it, shut the drain on the boiler like so, shut the freshen the waste outside valves, shut all the taps, get your hose pipe, pop it in the side of the van. Fill the van with water. Once you've filled the van with water, you can now come in and put the control panel on. Once you pop the control panel on, you can pop the pump on. Open the tap on the cold side and you'll get an automatic pressurized feed of cold water. As soon as you go to the hot, obviously there's no water in here, so it's transferring the water into the boiler of 10 litres. So it's going to cough splutter until you've got a free flow of water from the boiler to the tap. This is when you know your system's primed. Start with one tap, then do them all, and then you're ready for the season. But make sure that you drain it off in the winter, because you wouldn't want the water to freeze in the boiler, because it is a new boiler job and it's very expensive to replace one of these boilers. So make sure that you are draining it down and it's not covered under warranty. To operate your fridge, which is a Dometic fridge, so your fridge works on 3 sources. Mains 230 volt. When hooked up or when at home, you can use that to pre-chill your fridge. Gas, which you'd use if you're wild camping or in the storage yard. And battery, which isn't the leisure battery, it's the engine battery. When the engine is switched on, it sends a feed when the engine's running to the fridge, which makes it like a big cool box. So it's got to be down to temperature first. Your shopping's got to be chilled. Pop it on when you're traveling from site to site, or if you've pre-chilled it at home, pop your shopping in the night before, and then when you're ready to travel, pop it onto battery, and it'll keep all your shopping nice and fresh until you arrive on the site and hook up or turn it onto gas. And to do so, what you need to do is, so on the control panel you've got the on off button here, so you can press and hold and turn it off. It's gone off. Turn it back on. You'll notice it says auto, and what auto does is auto chooses the best source the van has available at any one time. So it's gone auto, and then it's lit up with a picture of a plug because we're hooked up. We've also got the gas turned on, but it knows not to waste gas. If I was to take the hookup out, it would switch over to gas, or if I was to start the engine, it would switch over to the 12 volt setting, which only keeps the temperature that it was previously at. So you've got to pre-chill it before on either a site, if you've gone from one site to another, or at home. But if you're doing it at home, you'll probably want to hook the van up a few days before you go away, if you're lucky enough that you do keep it at home. Not only does that charge the leisure battery, but it means that you can pre-chill your fridge a few days before, pop your shopping in the night before, and then when you start the engine, if it's on automatic, it'll switch over by itself. This is your temperature. So 5 when pre-chilling. Once you pop your shopping in, 3 or 4 max. and then you can change the source from auto like so, but you probably just need to leave it on auto. The only time you'll need to take it off auto is if you're going wild camping. It'll wait 20 minutes before lighting on gas once you turn the engine off on automatic. That's just a safety feature in case you were to pull into a petrol station and fill with fuel. Last thing you want is your fridge sparking and igniting petrol fumes. It's beeping on there just because the door's open, and when you are finished with the van and you're not using it for a week, or you're not using it for 3 months over the winter, don't shut your door, because if you shut your door, it's got a rubber seal on, it's going to trap the air, and that air is going to then start to smell, which means your motorhome's going to have a funny smell to it, and it's because you've not left your fridge door open. So all you need to do is pull this back like so, rest the door upon it, put it like that, and that'll stop the lock from locking in on the door. TV aerial, which is above your fridge. So there's a booster at the back, so on that booster you can min and max the signal with the little wheel. That'll go on and off with your 12 volt control panel. And then if you are still struggling to get a signal, if you loosen the nut off, you can push the stem of the aerial out the top of the motorhome and use the little toggles to direct the aerial. But look where your other motorhomes and caravans are pointing. Point yours in a similar direction and you should get a strong enough signal. And then remember, before you do set off, pull the stem in, tighten the nut just to stop the wind from getting underneath the aerial and causing any damage to your TV aerial. So to operate your drop down bed, you need to take your safety catch off first before you press this button here. So in the corner, you need to pull this strap off, and then you need to lift it up slightly, push the button in and pull the bed down. Comes down in a few stages, so it can either come down like so and you can use it as a 4-berth, or pull your cushions out the way, press the button in and you'll be able to bring it down. Clip the ladder on the front, heads at that end, feet at this end because it's more tapered this end towards the door, so you can get access during the night should you need to be out. And then remember, push the bed up, so push the button in, push the bed up, so keep the button held in when you're pushing it up until it clicks into place, and then before you travel, pop this strap back on just there and it locks the bed into place. So behind the driver's seat, if you press the catch on the front fascia, this one here, and slide it forward and lift this off, you'll be able to access your EC600 power supply unit. So in the power supply unit you do have a system shutdown button at the top, which will completely isolate the leisure battery from any power drain, so you might want to turn that off in the winter. You've got your 12 volt fuses for your 12 volt auxiliary items, which are all listed here. They do, so do carry some spare blade fuses with you. And then you do have all your trips and MCBs on mains 230 volt, along with, make sure these are pushed in, and basically once they're pushed in, just leave them. It's your charger, which charges your leisure battery and your vehicle battery on 230 volt, and the 230 volt side to the heating and hot water. Obviously that does work on gas as well, but you do need this switch on when you're on a site for it to allow the heating and hot water to work through 230 volt. You've also got your Swift weight plate. So 3.5 ton gross vehicle weight. If you were to put a tow bar on and tow with it, the motorhome and whatever you're towing can't exceed 5,100 kilograms, and then you've got your front and back axle weights. So to make the lounge into a bed, what you've got to do is remove everything first. So all the cushions off. There's 2 flaps which fold out from underneath this bench seat, so this dinette seat, which gives you the space for your footwell if you're traveling 2 passengers. But fold them out slide this locker cabinet forward, and then you can see that you get your table and you rest it upon the edge there and rest it upon the edge here. You then use the backrest from there onto here. The infill cushion from there, as Michael's just moved it, goes on here. So there's your two cushions. That slides there first, and then you'll notice you've got your backrest from on here and your base cushions just slide forward, and that creates the double bed within the lounge. Obviously that table then has a leg that goes in there, and you can have it up here as a dining table, but when you're using it as for the bed, it needs to just sit on these edges. So they just fold back when that cushion's removed, so you can fold that one back. This just lifts up, so slide it out, it slides over like so, and it'll go like that when it's housed away, and clip it into place. And then when you're travelling, obviously you would lift this one up as well for foot space for your two rear passengers. So this is just showing your reversing camera working. So that's your rear view, and then when you pop it into reverse, it'll come on as well. And then the beeping in the background is just telling you that you're hooked up. So don't drive away because the hooker bleed is still in the vehicle.